Hey, Peter, are you there?
Yes. Hey, Chris, is that you? Yeah, I'm here.
That's
How are
me.
you?
Good. For whatever reason, my video's not working, but that's okay.
Working. I'll test mine out. Yeah, it's working. Um, and the mic should be on momentarily.
All right. Yeah, we have about 500 people on
Wow, that's great.
yeah, we have a full house here tonight.
That's a
So
good turnout. Yeah,
it is. Thank you all for being here this afternoon.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
who else from your team are you expecting?
If Mike is able, oh, he says he's in. If he could be promoted to the panel, so Mike Bukosi, Butkocy, if that helps.
There we go.
And then I was going to do the first portion, and Mike was going to do the second portion, and then we're going to tag team the Q&A. Essentially, there he is.
Hey everyone.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Wow. You know what? I think,
Good,
yeah,
good.
the Mayor Jabor is trying to join, and yeah, we have apparently reached our subscription limit with the webinar. So that's
That's the
amazing.
first.
Yeah, that's
Oh
amazing.
wow.
All right, so I'm gonna let you both. I'm gonna give you both the opportunity now. Both of you can share your screens. So I
Yeah,
defer to you, Mike. All right, so actually, so what we're
yeah,
gonna
absolutely.
do, just as a housekeeping, I'm gonna start. We're gonna
Yeah,
start to record the webinar.
perfect.
You're recording already, Chris.
Yep, I am recording. Look at that. All right, so we're gonna officially start at 6:03, and we have a packed house here tonight. My name is Chris Brown. I'm the Director of Community Development here with the City of Hoboken. On with us tonight, is Peter Bandencoy and Michael Bukosi from Acuity Consulting Services. They are the City of Hoboken's administrative affordable housing administrative agents, and they're going to present tonight. They're going to give a overview on the affordable housing process for the City of Hoboken. So with that, Peter and Mike, I will hand the mic over to you.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Welcome everyone to the Affordable Housing Information Session for the City of Hoboken. And Mike, I don't know if you have the presentation handy. We could probably
Absolutely. Go ahead and put it up.
boot that up. And essentially, we have a brief presentation and quite a bit of time for Q&A afterwards. So we're going to try to cover the key information up front, but I'm sure there'll be questions. So, definitely we'll have time carved out for that. And as Chris mentioned, we're the Affordable Housing Administrative Agent for the City of Hoboken. And next slide, please. So the information we'll be covering tonight in terms of topics would be how to join the waiting list. Also, how the lottery works, otherwise known as the random drawing, the applicant selection process, how rents and sales prices are determined, income certification process, and upcoming projects, essentially a summary of the pending projects that are coming up that have an affordable housing set aside as part of the housing units that are included within them. Next slide, please. Uh, so as I'm sure many of you know, the city has a website, HobokenAffordableHousing.com. We encourage you to join the waiting list by logging onto that website. You can see the code on the screen, or feel free at another time to visit the website. And then also just to make mention of it here, we have a lot of time for questions, but in case you wanted to ask questions after this meeting, if you have, as often happens, you have thoughts afterward, certainly feel free to email us or contact us through the website. There's a contact page, but the email address is info@HobokenAffordableHousing.com. So the same as the website essentially, but info@HobokenAffordableHousing.com. and we'd be happy to respond via email or phone or otherwise. And next slide, please. So when you're on the website, right on the homepage up near the top, there is a little tab of where the page um, menu options are listed, and it says click here for application for dot dot dot. If you were to click that, you'll go to a page where it has options for applying for either rental affordable housing unit opportunities or for sale affordable housing unit opportunities. And on this slide, we're showing the for rent options. One is new application. So that's if you haven't applied previously, we would encourage you to use that application. And the other one is to update your application, and that's for any significant change to your information as far as your household goes. So if you've added a household member, for example, or recently moved or whatever the case might be, but only in cases for the update application where you've already submitted previously and are already on the waiting list. And let me just see if there's any other key aspects here. I think that covers it. Next slide, please. And so this slide, we're looking at the for purchase or for sale units. If you're interested in purchasing a unit, since there's some for purchase units that come online, but there's less of them in terms of like the frequency of those projects coming up. We've listed them per project, and that's what you see here. The two most recently advertised are on the screen here. As other projects come up, we anticipate to actually to have them listed on this portion of the page. If you click that, the links in this section, you'll be brought to a different waiting list for sale unit opportunities. And if there's no projects that are currently listed as available, or if the waiting lists, or if the advertising rather has been completed, let's say for the initial required advertising for a specific project, but you're still interested, you can submit a general inquiry either through this page or through sending us an email through the email address that I mentioned before, or through the contact page on the website. Next slide, please. So the information that's typically needed for what we call a preliminary application, and that's if you had clicked the link for either rental or for sale units that we had shown on the previous two slides. That's preliminary application information. In other words, it comes in before the random drawing, and you're really just providing information, the bare minimum of information to have your application on file, essentially, without any attachments or anything like that. That would come later as part of the final application process. And so examples of the information needed would, of course, be your name, number of people in your household, current address, phone number, email address, your household's combined gross annual income, whether you live in Hoboken, if you live in the housing region, this is Region 1, which is composed of Bergen, Hudson, Passaic, and Sussex counties. And if you have a HCV, stands for Housing Choice Voucher, otherwise known as Section 8. So if you have any type of voucher, whether it's Section 8, any other government related housing voucher, we would like to know about it. So that is a question in that as part of that preliminary application as well. Next slide, please. And how does the lottery work? And so essentially, real quick overview, the lottery, otherwise known as a random drawing, is required for all new units as per the state regulations and also the city's ordinance. There's a minimum 60-day affirmative marketing period that's required by law. So we're required to, from the first day that the project is advertised in the city and also on a website called the New Jersey Housing Resource Center website, which you can see as a sub-bullet there under advertisements placed at. Those really start the clock in the 60 days. It runs for 60 days. And essentially in parallel with that, there's other advertising in newspapers. You can see physical flyers are distributed. And then there's also websites such as affordablehousing.com we may use and things like that to websites like that to get the word out. But it all comes through one link online to go to one essentially list for those names to be received, all the applicant information to be received on, essentially a spreadsheet. And for all the applications that are received through clicking that link and filling it out online before the deadline, they're included in the lottery. And any that are received after the deadline are kept on file, and they're added to the bottom of the list after the lottery is conducted. So in other words, the next time there's a random drawing, they'll automatically be included along with the other names for the next random drawing. And the applications are randomized using random.org, which is a website where we plug in the entire number of applications based on the application number. It randomizes them, and the order in which they're randomized becomes the lottery number. Um, and then after that randomization, there's a pretty significantly sized waiting list right now. So the new applicants are put at the bottom of the list, but you are added to the list. And one of the things I wanted to mention at this point is there is a preference in terms of regional preference, and that's that housing region that I mentioned before, Hudson, Bergen, Essex, and Sussex counties. So for households that live or work in those counties, that list is sorted so that we would reach out to those households first, and then we would reach out to households from outside of that region. That essentially is a requirement until the city has fulfilled its present need obligation, and then that may toggle back to resident preference at that time in the future. But for now, it's a regional preference. And let me see if there's anything else here. And I think that's all I have on this slide. And I believe now I'm going to turn it over to Mike for some overview of the selection process. Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Peter. All right, so I'll get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty on what happens after the lottery. So the selection process, we use the same big Hoboken waiting list for every available unit that becomes available that's administered by this program. It just to point it out, it's not used for other programs, so low-income housing tax credit, HUD, supportive housing, or single-room occupancy units. We don't use this list for those types of housing units. Those are different programs administered by different agents, and they have different lists. So affordable housing has three different income levels. So there's very low, low, and moderate income. And every household and every unit in the program is essentially assigned to one of those income levels. The number of people in your household and your household's combined gross annual income puts you at one of those income levels. There's the actual number kind of varies by housing region, but we're really only going to focus on the region one that Peter mentioned, which is Hudson, Bergen, Passaic, and Sussex counties. So I included a little chart below. You can kind of see where you would fall based on how many people are in your household and your household's combined gross annual income. So, for example, I'm a one-person household. My annual income is $60,000. I would be in the moderate income household, moderate income level. And then for the maximum size of a household that you could fit into a unit, you can have a maximum of 2 people per bedroom and a minimum of 1 person per bedroom in order to qualify. Every time we have a newly available unit, so whether it's brand new in a new construction or it's a vacancy in an existing unit, we have to start at the top of this waiting list. The randomization only applies when Peter mentioned there's brand new developments, all the new applicants that want to apply, those names are randomized and then added at the bottom of the existing list. But we keep that same waiting list order for every newly available unit that's made available. So essentially, we start at lottery number 1. So we would start at the first person on the list. And if we find that that person is not a fit for the unit, we just go over them and then we would go to number 2 on the list. Now, as Peter mentioned, there is another layer to that. Hoboken uses a regional preference to give applicants that live or work in Hudson, Bergen, Passaic, and Sussex counties a preference. So even if number 2, they have the right number of people in their household and their income is a fit, let's say they live and work in Cape May County, they would not qualify for that regional preference. So then at that point, we would go to number 3 on the list. If you are a fit, you're emailed and you're asked to confirm your interest and provide a little bit of additional information just to kind of get an idea of if you're still potentially eligible. That email provides you with a 2-day deadline. And then at that point, if you respond that you're interested and you provide that information that's requested at that point, that's when you're asked to actually provide your documentation. And I'll get a little bit more into what documents that are a little bit later in the presentation, but that is a 10-day deadline to provide that supporting paperwork. So I know it's a little bit hard to kind of visualize what I just spoke about. So I wanted to provide a little bit of a visual aid here. So let's say, for example, this is the actual waiting list. It's not, but let's say that it is for the sake of this example. Everybody is given their lottery number, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And we start at the top for every single unit that's made available. So, for example, if we're trying to fill a one-bedroom low-income unit, we would start at this list and we'd go down and we would only reach out to households that would be a fit. So, as I mentioned before, that would be they have at least 1 or 2 people per bedroom. Their income is underneath the maximum allowable for their household size, and they live or work in the region. So out of these 25 people, you could see that only these 5 would be a potential fit. So if we start at number 1, Bridget, for a one-bedroom, she would not be eligible because she exceeds the maximum household size. She has 3 people. So she would not be contacted for a one-bedroom. Mohammed has the right household size of 2 people, yet he is not in region 1. So Mohammed would not be contacted for this one-bedroom apartment. As you can see, we continue so on. Tony at number 8 would actually be the first person that's reached out to for a one-bedroom low-income unit. His household size meets the criteria. He's within the housing region, and his income is below the maximum allowable for a one-person household to qualify as low income. So out of all the 25, these 5 would be the only ones that are reached out to for that type of apartment. So then what happens to those names? So let's say, for the sake of the example, all 5 of those people that were contacted respond, and all 5 of them provided the necessary paperwork, and all 5 were potentially eligible based on their income. Those 5 are then added to what's referred to as a short list for the apartment. So that short list is still ordered by the Hoboken lottery numbers. So you can see Tony's number 1, but he's number 8 on the lottery list. Olivia number 2, but number 10. Corbin number 3, but number 12. So in this example, Tony would be the first person that's referred to the landlord in order to take the next steps, which is typically, for most landlords, it's submitting the credit background check and then scheduling a tour to see if they're confirmed interested. So let's say, for example, Tony does not qualify based on the credit check. He fails the credit check. Then Olivia would then get an opportunity to actually apply for the apartment. But then let's say Olivia tours the unit. It doesn't really work with her furniture. So then we would go to number 3, Corbin. Corbin passes the credit check. He likes the unit, and then he ends up signing the lease. So even though Corbin was number 12 on the overall list, he was number 3 on the short list. He's the one that actually ends up with this apartment. So then what would happen to everybody else that's not contacted? So out of those 25 people, the 20 that were not contacted. So the answer is essentially they stay in the same exact spot for the next available units that become available. They still stay in that same lottery number. They're still contacted in that same order, or rather considered in that same order, just for anything different that might potentially be, available in the future. So maybe in the future for Bridget, a 3-bedroom becomes available, and that might better fit her household size. So then she would rather be considered for something that's along those lines. Common question that we typically get is, am I the only one being contacted? Am I being contacted because I'm next on the list? So the answer really to that is no. So we typically will reach out to at least 20 of those potentially eligible households at a time. Those green names that I showed you before. So we typically will try to reach out to at least 20 at a time. And the reason that we do that is a few different things. So people may not respond. They may not be interested when they actually see what the opportunity is. Things may have changed since they applied. Maybe they moved, so they're not in the housing region, or their income changed, or their household size changed. So even though if they do respond and apply, they might not be a fit anymore. Those that do respond and maybe meet the income criteria, maybe they don't meet the landlord's credit check and don't qualify that way. So in a sense, it's more efficient to reach out to a group rather than one at a time. If we did reach out to one at a time, we would have to give everybody 2 days to respond. Then let's say, for example, they responded yes, and then they're given 10 days to submit the paperwork. Maybe once they see the paperwork, they don't really want to move. They actually just would rather stay. They still need to be given 10 days to apply. So even though this person had no intention of applying, It's now been 12 days and we've only contacted one person for the apartment. So really, in the interest of fairness for everybody on the waiting list, we try to reach out to groups or batches at a time so that we can get an idea of who's seriously interested and who might actually qualify. Another frequent question that we typically get is, I was number 2 on the short list. I didn't get the unit. The person ahead of me got the apartment. Am I automatically next for the next available unit in the city? So unfortunately, the answer to that is no. You would not automatically be next for the next apartment in the city because essentially the next unit that becomes available, you might not be eligible for. You might have been on the short list for a 1-bedroom low, but the next available unit in the city might be a 2-bedroom moderate or a 3-bedroom very low income apartment. So unfortunately, we can't consider you for that next one. We'd have to, again, start at the top of that Hoboken waiting list and work our way down from number 1. The only exception really is if it's a larger scale development and they have multiple of the same units currently available at the same time. So if that building had 5 1-bedroom low income apartments and we still had extras on the short list, we could offer the next person on the short list one of those next available units. And then once the short list is depleted, we can actually go back and continue reaching out to that master Hoboken list for more names. Another frequent question I get is, how do I know if the unit is right for me, or do I have to take this unit? So no, you do not have to take any opportunity that you're reached out to. You can decline any unit without penalty, and it will not affect your lottery number. It won't affect where you are on the waiting list. And we try our best to provide you with as much information up front as possible. So when you get that first initial email that I mentioned with the 2-day deadline, you'll see something like this. It'll provide you with information on the rent, whatever utilities are included, the unit amenities. So if there's central air or a washer, dryer, dishwasher, any other type of appliances, tell you a little bit about the community, some of their policies on pets and parking, if there's a credit background check required, how much the fee for that background check would credit background check would be, and if there's any information on deposits, any information on security deposits that we want you to know up front. We try to provide you with as much as possible so that you know if it's the right opportunity for you. Getting a little bit more into the actual specifics of how the rents and the prices are determined. So as I mentioned before, every unit is assigned an income level designation of very low, low, moderate. So what does that mean? So very low units are for households that earn less than 30% of the area's median income. Low income apartments are for those that earn less than 80%, and moderate income are for those that earn less than 80% of the area's median income. These apartments need to be considered quote unquote affordable to households that are within that median income. So when I say affordable, that means that the monthly income of that applicant, how much of it can be spent on the actual housing expenses of the unit. So for a rental unit, the monthly housing expenses are considered the rent and the utilities. For an ownership unit, the monthly expenses would be considered your mortgage, which is your principal and your interest, your PMI, your homeowner's insurance, your property taxes, and your HOA fee. So those factors are actually considered when the rents and the sales prices are calculated, and they are shapen so that they're affordable with all those expenses taken into account. So if the monthly expenses of a unit exceed 35% of an applicant's monthly income, that is considered not affordable to them. It's actually considered too expensive. So you would not meet the minimum income requirement for the unit. So there's also, so the maximum is a little bit cleaner. There's a straight number that you have to meet. The minimum would be if it exceeds 35% of your monthly income. So as I mentioned, I'll get a little bit more in depth on the paperwork that's required. So what's actually required in the income certification? What supporting documents do we request? So this is what's required by the program. You need your 4 most recent consecutive pay stubs. You need copies of your federal and state income tax returns for each of the last 3 years that you filed. You would need 2 months of bank statements for each of your checkings accounts, savings accounts, and any other types of accounts that you might have. So holding or managing trust funds, money market, CDs, bonds, stocks, any other type of account where you might be bearing interest, we would need statements for it. We would also need a letter reporting of monthly benefits if you've received anything such as Social Security, unemployment, disability, pension, or welfare. We would need reporting of any type of income, such as alimony or child support that you might receive. Any type of evidence from your income directly to your assets if you own real estate or if you own a business. We might ask you for a profit and loss statement. As Peter mentioned before, we would need a copy of your housing choice voucher so that if you don't meet the minimum income requirement that I mentioned before, we can actually base your qualifications on how much your voucher covers. And for ownership opportunities, we would also need a copy of a mortgage pre-approval letter from a lender that can work with affordable housing, or proof of funds if you plan to purchase a home in cash or if you're receiving cash from a friend or family. And these are a few projects that are upcoming to give you an idea of how much is coming down the pipeline for new developments that have affordable housing set asides. As you can see, we have a good amount of rental developments coming up. I did include one low-income housing tax credit property at 11th and Willow that's going to be coming up soon. We're also going to be expecting 78 affordable units at 111 Observer Highway, 38 at 1500 Clinton, 42 at 1500 Grand, 40 at 256 Observer Highway. I believe that's the Hoboken Irby. 5 at 301 Washington, and then 5 at 1404 Willow Ave. And then currently we are filling 4 ownership units at 921 Madison Street as well. So these are what to expect coming up. So if you haven't already, be sure to join the waiting list so that you can be included. And that is the presentation.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Peter. I really appreciate the detailed, in-depth, informative presentations. So we have some hands going up, and we have about 23 questions in the Q&A box. So yeah, we have a few hands going up. Peter and Mike, if you guys, if one of you could possibly go into the chat and answer some of the questions that are coming up. I'm also going to start allowing some of the people to speak, and we'll go from there. But yeah, thank you very much for your presentations. This would also be, because of this is a City of Hoboken community meeting. Generally, I would have started the meeting with an introduction from an elected official, and they've tried. The mayor tried to join the call, but because we're at capacity, she wasn't able to get in. And I'm sure some council people also probably have the same situation, but that's all right because all the people that are on the call are getting the information that they need. Oh, Casey, your hand is up. You are muted.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Just wanted to join the crowd. All right, so I'm going to start with Chanel Lewis. Gonna allow you to talk. Chanel, you there?
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are
Um,
you?
I'm okay. I was typing in a box, the Q&A box, but I live in Jersey City and I work in Bergen County in Hackensack. So I would qualify. And how does it work if you, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay,
We
because
can
I
hear you.
can't hear, I can't see anyone. I said, how does it work when you have Section 8? Like, where do where do I apply? Like, I know you spoke about it briefly earlier when you have the house tours and voucher, but I didn't see clearly where the section would be.
Peter or Mike, do you have a quick answer for Chanel?
And Mike, if you're comfortable answering that, I'll start answering the written questions in parallel. And then if
Yeah,
any
sure.
Okay.
need like
Yeah, no
more
problem.
of
I
a
was actually
spoken
just typing
response,
in
I can.
Yeah, sorry about that. So,
Yeah, no
yeah,
problem.
so to answer the first part of your question, I believe was if you were in Jersey City. Jersey City, I believe, is Hudson County, so that would still
Yes.
qualify for the regional preference. And the second part of your question, I believe, was for the Section 8. So
Hmm.
if you receive any type of rental assistance, so it could be a Section 8 voucher, any other type of housing choice voucher, it could be cash from, family, anything along those lines. We take that into consideration for what you can afford for your monthly housing expenses. So, as I mentioned before, the minimum income would be if the monthly expenses of rent and utilities exceed about 35% of your monthly income. So, let's say a loan on your income, maybe the monthly expenses are about 50% of your monthly income, but then you're also entitled to $1,500 a month through your voucher. We take that into account. So, we would add the 1,500 to what you could afford, but it would not be counted as income. So you technically would be able to qualify as you'd be able to afford more, but it wouldn't be counted against you as an income.
Okay. And another question, is the newer properties like the one that's getting built right on Washington Street, that's not even built yet? Will that be in part of the properties too?
Depends on which property you're talking about, but I think if it's the one on Third in Washington or the one on Observer and between Bloomfield and Garden or between Washington and Garden, yeah, those have a affordable housing set aside.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
don't have any more questions.
Appreciate your questions.
Mm.
All right, next question, Scott White.
Me now?
Scott. Yep, we can hear you.
Hi. My question is on purchasing, particularly 38 Jackson Street. Although the purchase price is quite low for the area, the HOA is quite high, and I'm wondering if there's anything instituted of a certain percentage on these affordable units that they can't raise your HOA, as we know that sometimes, these buildings raise the HOA a very large percentage.
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. So the HOA fees for affordable units are actually still subject to typical HOA laws that you would see for any market rate condo. So they are subject to the association and any typical annual increases that they would issue to the entire community. They would still be the same increases that the affordable tenants would have. The way that it's done is, as you mentioned, the sales prices are very low, and that's done with the hope that the overall monthly expense can still be considered affordable to the buyer.
Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of scary with putting whatever $50,000 into a unit and then you have a $900 HOA and they jack it up to 2,000, you know? Um, my other question is for rentals. Let's say you are lucky enough to get picked and you move into an apartment and your salary decreases drastically. Is there a reassessment allowed in such conditions?
You're not required to do any type of annual recertification to stay in the unit. You would still be subject to have to pay your rent on time as per your lease agreement with the landlord, but you do not have to stay within any type of income limits once you're certified and sign the lease for the unit. Even that goes the other way, even if you actually get a raise and make more than what you would have to qualify to go in.
Okay. So you don't get reassessed if you were making 70,000 and you went down to 40,000, it would still be at your entry rental fee, or correct?
Correct. Yeah, per the program, correct. You can work out any arrangement, potentially with your property management or your landlord, but per the program, it wouldn't be a sliding scale based on your income.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any idea when 1100 or 1101 Madison or 1100 Jefferson might be opening up? Because it's been on the website coming soon for quite a while.
You might be thinking about 931 Madison.
Uh,
Um,
no, for rental, 1100 Jefferson and 1101 Madison.
I'm not sure. There's a
The artisan properties.
It says coming soon, but it's been that way for I would think about
uh,
6
so
now.
so we have about 27 hands up. Let's if you feel free to send me an email just so we can get the property right. cbrown@hobokennj.gov, cbrown@hobokennj.gov.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just we'd have to look to verify which site you're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. All right, next person with their hand up is Lissandra Marrero.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. I just hit the send on the questions that I had. So I vaguely jotted things down because I was waiting for the 6 o'clock mark in order to join. And then when that happened, everything was full. So I came in late is why I'm saying that. But I guess my main questions are this particular meeting right now. Is this because of prior like applications? I'm just trying to pinpoint um how.
No,
Go ahead.
we just have a number of units coming online. So
Hmm.
the reason why we're doing this webinar is just we have a number of units coming online. Our administrative agents have been in touch with a number of applicants, and we just wanted to have a session where some of your questions can be answered and people can understand the process of getting into an affordable unit.
Okay, so I am a Hoboken resident, and I would be is that like take a specific residence? Is that like way how does that weigh in?
So the city has uh, a regional preference, but after the regional preference of I think 128 units is filled, we then switch over to the resident to Hoboken residents.
Okay, so regional goes first, and then Hoboken residents secondly.
Correct.
Okay,
But you are
and
also in the region, just
Yes.
okay. Oh yeah, true. It doesn't got it. So the other thing would be like vaguely, like my family's, I have a pretty large family. So what are like, what's the, I guess, and I know because I know that you already mentioned that there's different upcoming properties. What's the biggest? Is it a 3 bedroom? That's the most, like, I guess the biggest available if that comes open?
Yes. We don't have any, I don't think we have any affordable 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms coming online in the
And
near
for a
years.
3 bedroom, what's the typical amount of like family members that or
So
maximum?
Mike, do you have the
Yeah. It's so the max for just across the board is
Mhm.
2 people per bedroom. So the
Okay,
maximum household you could fit in a
6.
3 bedroom would be 6 people.
That's okay. That works for me. That's we would have 5. All right. And sorry, I'm trying to get everything in. Um, So I've been calling around to different upcoming local, like the way you guys had the list show up that these are upcoming properties that are going to be finished hopefully soon. I've just been calling around to different management and asking or leaving messages along the tune of, is this, are there certain set apartments set aside for affordable housing? I've gotten no all the way across the board, and I'm just doing kind of my own searching and keeping my eye out. What's the best way to kind of find that information to apply? Because I know I would assume that I'm in the Hoboken Housing Authority actually, so I was assume that there's a window span to apply once these properties are finished.
So on the city's website, we direct you to Mike, do you have the web the website name off the top of your head?
Yeah, it was hold on, let me pull up.
Hmm. I screenshotted what you guys had, but like I said, I wasn't here from the beginning.
So Hoboken,
HobokenAffordableHousing.com.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I've been there. Hoboken Housing account. Um, and today's meeting is recorded again, just because I came in late. Is it recorded?
Yeah, this is being recorded and we're gonna post it to the city's YouTube channel within the
Okay,
next couple days.
perfect. I think I got everything in. Otherwise, like I said, I had just had hit send when my name was called. So I think I got everything in that I needed. And yeah, I'll just go back and refer to the recorded version of what I missed. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Lissandra.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right, so the next person, Macarius Bucket. Macarius, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Did I pronounce how did I do with your last name?
M-
How do I
Macari. My first and my last name is Beckett.
back it? Okay.
Alrighty. So my question to you guys. So I'm not sure how I was being selected to be contacted by you guys. So I was wondering if that was a spam, as you know that there is a lot of things going on nowadays. So I wasn't sure if I should respond to that email.
Who sent the email? Who
Uh,
was the
I
sender?
I received it from Hoboken Housing, something like that. Affordable housing.
Mike, was that?
Uh, Let
Do you know
me
off the
get
top of
it
your
here.
head the
So it's
outbound?
from ACS admin
That's the one. That is the ACS admin at acuitytoday.com is the correct one.
because I don't remember I applied before, but like I applied for a different websites. It's through all New Jersey, not only Hoboken. So I was wondering if you guys got my information from there.
We so there have been previous administrative agents that actually have taken applications in the past. It was transferred over to Acuity. So you may have applied with Affordable Homes New Jersey in the past, and then that application was transferred over to us.
Okay, yeah, I did probably. But I tried to contact those people on the application that you told me about the loan pre-approval, but no answers at all. And I tried to contact that person again and again and again. I never received any response. So finally, I contacted a different bank regarding the loan approval. Um, but I'm still waiting for them to respond back. But I gave you guys all my information. But the only thing that I'm currently missing is the mortgage pre-approval. So am I still on the waiting list, or like you guys removed me? Or
Yeah, you're
So
still on the list. So, for anybody else, to give you an idea, when you're contacted for an ownership unit, the full application that you receive does give you a few recommendations for lenders that are familiar with affordable housing just for convenience. But on that application, we also do state that you're welcome to apply with any lender. You just have to be upfront with the lender to let them know that you're applying for a deed restricted home because some lenders will not work with deed restrictions. But to answer your question, you're welcome. If for some reason you do not get a mortgage pre-approval from the lender, you're welcome to apply to any of the ones on the list or any other ones that you might be interested in working with. If for some reason you don't qualify for a pre-approval, you are not removed from the list. You do stay in your exact same spot on the Hoboken ownership waiting list, and you're going to be contacted for future opportunities as well.
okay, because this is the only thing that I'm currently missing. So I'm not sure if I'm still on the waiting list. That's why I was wondering if you guys can give me an update.
so Mike, your email for Acuity is admin@acuitytoday.com, correct?
ACS
Yes,
admin.
ACS admin.
ACS admin. Yep. And I received two offer actually. The one two application. I mean, the one for 831 Jackson and the other one 921. Actually, 38 Jackson, and the other one is 921 Madison.
How much
Uh,
All
time
right.
does a applicant have to respond to get that information for an homeownership unit?
They get 2 days to respond to that, and then they get the full application where they're asked to send in the paperwork, and that's a 10-day deadline for the paperwork.
10 day. Okay.
So, Macarius, I would suggest reaching out to Mike just for the
Yeah.
more direct questions about your application. ACSadmin@acuity.com. We have about 43 people with their hands raised, so I just
uh,
want to give
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm sorry about that. But who's Samuel? Samuel L. Is that like a guy with you guys? Okay.
I believe
I
so.
just want.
Samuel works for Acuity, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Macarius. Appreciate you.
You're
Have,
welcome.
have a good rest of the night.
You
Teresa Stone. I'm going to allow you to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm a little confused. So because I was emailed about this webinar, does that mean I'm automatically on the waiting list or do I need to apply?
Yeah, you would need to apply to the waiting list if you haven't done so already.
And can you just briefly run that past me again, how I would apply?
Mike?
You would go
So wait,
to HobokenAffordableHousing.com.
Hoboken affordablehousing.com. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. All right. Next person, Dion. We're going to allow you to speak.
Hi, thank you so much. Um, my question is if I saw that it is limited to if you're living in Hudson, Essex, those four zones, but what if I am on SSI and I've been living with someone because I'm on SSI, but I'm not living in those four areas. So can I still get on the list? Because I don't work, so it doesn't matter to me. Am I able to get on the list? And do I move up on the list because I am on SSI and unemployed?
So you can definitely get on the list. You don't have to be in those four counties or work within those four counties to join the list. You just would not receive a regional preference if you don't live or work within that area, but you can definitely still get on the list. And there is unfortunately no preference for the type of funding sources that you would receive. So SSI doesn't necessarily move you up higher on the list. It's just something that we take into account when we factor in what you'd be eligible for.
Okay. And also if I'm seeing that some can be purchased. So if they're being purchased, and obviously with I'm on the very low income. So how do we find out if we were to have a family member purchase this for us, or I would never qualify for a loan, being that I'm at, 23,000 a year. So, how does one purchase if they're at such low income?
Yeah, good question. If you, as you mentioned, if you had a family member that was going to be helping you with purchasing the unit, if they were going to give you the funds to purchase, there's an area in the preliminary application that says down payment. If you were to put the maximum amount that they'd be, able to give you towards the purchase, we can actually take that into account for ownership units to see what you will qualify for. Because if you purchase the home outright in cash, it would obviously reduce your monthly payment, and then we would only base your eligibility on the remaining other monthly expenses like homeowners insurance, HOA, and the property taxes. So if your income with that in mind is able to afford that monthly expense, then you'd be contacted. But if the monthly expenses were still too high for your income, you unfortunately would not qualify.
Okay. Okay. And is the waiting list quite long? Like, are we looking at years? Are we looking at months? If I was to apply today, because I, my da my daughter received this email and sent it to me, and I don't think I'm on the list. So how would I know if I'm on the list? Because I see, there was two sections. If it's a new application or an old application, how do I know if I'm on the list? If it,
So you would, if you applied for I'm sorry,
because
if you've applied for the list, then you would have got a notification from Acuity confirming your
this email.
place. Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
in terms of the timeline, unfortunately, if you were to if you were applying right now, today, yes.
Years.
Yeah, the list is many thousands long, and the way it works with the regional preference is we would have to exhaust everyone within the region one before we got to those outside the region. Is that right, Mike?
Exactly.
So
Right.
say 10,000 on the list are Region 1 and 10,000 are not in Region 1. Would have had to exhaust all 10,000 in Region 1 before we started being able to offer units to those not in Region 1.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Dion. Have a good rest of the night.
Thank you.
All right, Minerva Gonzalez. I'm going to allow you to speak.
Hi,
Hi, Minerva. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I have several questions because I have actually toured multiple units in different, like the Vineyard, 303 Madison, Park and Garden. I've actually toured quite a few of them, and I've noticed that majority of the units are not affordable for low income or very low. They're usually moderate or higher. Not one of the units that I went to see were low income. They were moderate. On top of that, I also noticed that they are requesting additional fees up front when it comes to the amenities. For example, if you're in a unit, you're interested in a unit that has a gym, that has a pool, or any of that, you also have to come up front with the additional deposit of the application, the credit check amount, plus additional fees. I also am aware that they do waive it for some people, but not for everyone. And then another question is, I was under the impression that Hoboken residents would be given first preference before they go out of Hoboken to offer to out of Hoboken residents the units. And
So,
also, do you guys have like non-voucher units or are they all voucher units?
that was the three. So, Mike, could you answer the question of voucher versus
Yeah.
non-voucher? I think you answered that with Section 8 units before.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, so we'll start with that one. So, the units are not considered Section 8 or voucher units. The units are priced below the market rate so that they can be considered affordable to applicants that are below a certain level of the area's median income. However, if you receive a housing voucher, if you receive Section 8, we take that into consideration for what you can afford and what you could qualify for. So even if you maybe would be below the minimum income requirement, we would see that you receive additional rental assistance, and then we would say that you'd be able to afford a rent that might be a little bit higher. So, actually to answer your first question, maybe your income alone would qualify you for a low income unit. If you receive additional assistance like a voucher on top of that, you would actually also qualify for a moderate income unit.
Thank you very much for that answer. I have actually been dealing with you, Michael, for quite some time, and just to let you know, I'm very grateful and thankful for you being so informative and having a lot of patience with the million questions that I ask. I mean, if we don't ask the questions, we don't have the knowledge, we don't know what the protocol is. So I know that we've exchanged emails quite a few times, and a lot of questions were asked. And I also have another question. If how do we know that, let's say for example, okay, I accept the unit, I decide that I'm gonna move in, I'm gonna leave an apartment somewhere else. How do I know what would be my stability and that the owner of that unit will not decide to terminate the subsidy or whichever way you want to call it, moderate income, and have to move out? Like,
You,
what is the guarantee for us as a tenant of,
you,
you know?
there's a 40-year deed restriction on each unit. So if it's a new unit, you're in there for 40 years. If the unit turns over and you come in at year 20, then you have 20 years left on the deed restriction.
Oh, so they're all deed restricted.
Correct.
Oh, wow, that's amazing to know. And what about the amenity fees? Why do the low income people also have to come up with that additional $700 or whatever fee they want? I mean, if you're low income, obviously you're on a budget. You try to get to a point where you don't have to come much with too much out of pocket. And I think sometimes it's a little bit excessive to ask for it up front versus giving you time if you move in, because if you decide that you're not going to take it within the 10-day period, then you still have to wait to get a refund for that $700. That's what I understood.
So it's per state statute that tenants in affordable units have to pay amenity fees that are not subsidized. That's a right, Mike, am I misstating?
Yeah, so per that, if you would like to have access, so this is actually a good question. So if you would like to have access to the amenities, you would need to pay the fee. There are some instances where the fee is waived for affordable tenants in some buildings. You do have the ability as an affordable tenant to not pay the fee. In return, the landlord does have the ability to say, okay, you would not have access to the amenities, but you are within your right to say, I would like to not pay the amenities fee if I do not want to use the amenities.
And one last question. What's up with the parking? They want to charge $300 a month for parking. In majority of the units, they're like really high. Is that the same rate for everybody across the board, or do low income get low income or disabled or handicapped get a different rate?
No, that's for the building, and that would be the same across the board.
Unfortunately, parking is not regulated like affordable housing is regulated. Oh.
Yeah. Minerva, do you have any? Because we still have about 48
No,
hands.
you answer all my questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the night. All right, so next speaker, Janexi Fennell. I'll allow you to speak. Janexi, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
I think you're on mute if you're
Hello,
trying to talk.
Yep, Janexi.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. One of my questions was I recently got a response from a unit in Altapan. That's Bergen County. I live in Cliffside Park. So I did send all of my documents, like pay stubs, like a copy of my passport and all the full documents. Now I haven't received anything, and it's been like 6 months. What would you think like my application or my status is?
Mike, I defer to you.
Yeah,
I would just say that this is actually just about Hoboken, right? This is not for other for affordable housing in other locations. This is questions about units in Hoboken.
Oh, okay. And no, but I also applied for to one of the sales one. I believe it was on the 91 that unit 91. I think it was I forget the exact street. But I also put an application to one of those sales. But I haven't received anything yet. Does that mean that I didn't get on the list?
you
Nine.
were.
Sorry. No.
Yeah, Chris, sorry.
No, please, Mike.
Yeah. If you were contacted for, I believe you're talking about 921 Madison Street, if it's for a purchase, if you were
Yes.
contacted for anything and you submitted paperwork,
No.
no, you didn't submit paperwork?
No.
Okay. How recently was it?
It's about a few months ago. I believe I applied for like I believe two in Hoboken to buy. But I didn't get any emails about submitting or applying for mortgage or anything like that. So that means I didn't get in, correct?
I can definitely take a look. I think for a specific question like this, I'm going to have to actually take a look and see
Okay.
the specific situation, but I'm happy to
Okay.
help you with that. If you
Okay.
want to email us, I can definitely take a look and see what's going on.
Yes, thank you so much. Should I email to the one
So
here? Provide.
acsadmin@acuity.com. acsadmin@acuity.com.
Okay. If I leave, okay. So I don't have. All right, let me see if I can put it in my notes here.
Uh,
So
It's
it's
also on
yeah.
the Hoboken Affordable Housing website.
oh, it is. Oh, okay. All right.
HobokenAffordableHousing.com. Right.
Okay, thank you so much again.
All right. Thank you, Janexi.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Have a good rest of the night.
You too.
All right. Minerva Gonzalez. Oh, wait. I think Minerva Gonzalez,
We spoke to
we
Minerva.
spoke to her already. Taya Osborne, I'm going to allow you to speak.
Taya, yes. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have a few questions. Okay, so I did ask in the chat, but it probably is a long answer. What do you guys specifically look for in the background check or credit check?
That's actually not handled by us. That's entirely based on what the building's typical tenant screening is.
Okay.
Every building's a little bit different, so that we would actually have to defer to the landlord on that one.
Okay. And then another question I have is in terms of the income, I know that you guys put in the PowerPoint about providing like three most recent tax returns and stuff like that. How does that work if, like, let's say for my instance, I haven't been working for the past couple of years, and I'm supposed to be getting disability? Like, what would you ask in terms of that instead
Yep.
to fill that?
If you were not required to file in that specific year, so let's say you were not required to file in 2025, it was the three most recent years that you did file, is what we would take.
Okay. And then also, uh, for the Section 8 portion, let's say, for example, somebody has a Section 8 voucher for only one person, but like I mentioned, in terms of I'm supposed to be receiving disability and I'm supposed to be getting a living aid, would that mean that that person's income would be included in consideration? Or, and also, does that still qualify for a one-bedroom apartment, or I would have to submit for a two-bedroom?
That's a great question, actually. So if you have a live-in aid, that would qualify you to get an extra bedroom. The live-in aid's income does not count towards your household's income. So you would be income qualified as a one-person household, but you'd still be able to apply for a two-bedroom.
Okay. Even with my voucher, that's only for a one-bedroom?
I would actually check with your housing authority on that one. I would speak to your caseworker to see what you'd have to do to get a second bedroom. I unfortunately, I honestly don't know. If you would like to get a two-bedroom with a one-bedroom voucher, you might just want to see if you could update it.
Okay. And then lastly, for the applications, I've been applying like to different websites like HouseQuest and Piazza. I think I'm saying that right, Associates Inc. If I apply on the website here for Hoboken, but let's say I already applied before, but I didn't know, would that affect the application process or no?
If you already applied in the past and maybe you didn't realize that you already did, we would just consolidate it and keep your earlier one because that one would have higher priority.
Okay, perfect. That's all my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tia. Have a good rest of the night.
You too.
All right, Jessica Campbell, gonna allow you to speak. Jessica Campbell, floor is yours. Jessica, you there?
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. Hi, Jessica. Do you have any
Hi. Yes, I'm sorry.
questions?
Hi. Yes. I have a few questions. My first one, being, when did the regional qualifications, was that something that was changed recently?
I'm sorry, did you say the income qualifications?
No, the regional preference, I think you're
Oh,
asking about, right? How we used to have a Hoboken preference.
Yes. The reason why I ask is because not only am um I've applied for Hoboken housing through the Affordable Homes of New Jersey, but so did my parents, which I was helping them with their application process. Um, we used to be we used to be Hoboken residents, and at the time that they filled out the applications, they were currently unhoused. and by the time they received information uh about a unit in 770, they went through the entire process, saw the apartment, was filling out paperwork, and like at like the final stretch, they were told that they realized that they were no longer Hoboken residents. Although they were still living in Hudson County, that they were no longer considered eligible for that apartment.
All right,
So
so Mike, were you about to say? Were you about to jump? Um, yeah, I mean, so they were unhoused when they applied for the waiting list. Were they at any time Hoboken residents?
absolutely, yes. When and I'm and this was quite some time ago. This application was from like 2017, I want to say,
Yeah.
and um and
Yeah.
they had received information about an apartment, I would say, in the 770 building. I want to say this was in uh, I have all the paperwork, but it was like maybe in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um
that's about when the building came online. But yeah, we
mhm.
did used to have a Hoboken residency preference, but the we entered a settlement agreement with the state, and who essentially challenging our Hoboken preference, saying it's not consistent with UHAC, the Uniform Housing Administrative Code. Um, so we had to change our Hoboken preference to be a regional preference. But the way that we did the settlement with the state is to say, okay, well, we'll fulfill our required obligation with a regional preference, which is what the state wants. But then anything after we fulfill our regional obligation, then we'll revert to a Hoboken resident preference. So after we fill about 120 or so units, then we can revert to our Hoboken resident preference. And so that's kind of the history of how it changed. I'm very sorry to hear about what your parents went through.
Yeah, it's actually like it's even like more disheartening because we were specifically, quick background, at the time, my mom was disabled. We were looking for an apartment because they were on a third floor walk up. The fact that we got almost to the very end, like we were ready to, like, we were move-in ready, to just be told after filling out applications, paying all the fees, that they were no longer eligible, trying to appeal it because we are originally from Hoboken.
Well, that's
Uh,
yeah, that's
um,
I've why don't you contact I think
so
that's something maybe you should email Mike and his team directly about because there's some details in there I think that are
yeah,
worth.
absolutely. My last question to attach to that, and is that since then my mom has passed.
Sorry.
However, my father and sister, who were a part of that original application, are still searching for a more affordable housing, as well as myself. So I was just wondering, does does my dad, who was under my mother's original application, have to create a new application, or is this something I should email about as well?
Yeah, email us and we won't make them do a new one. We'll just update the name on it.
Okay. And I'm so sorry. I've been able to hear you guys a little bit, but for whatever reason it just recently got choppy. Who who is it that I shall be emailing?
Email acsadmin at
Oh my god.
acuity.com. ACSadmin.
A
Yeah, A is in
ACS at
so A is in Adam, C is in church, S is in Sam, admin. ADMIN.
AD what?
I'm
ADM.
sorry, it's A
Yeah, I'll spell it out. So A is in Adam, C is in Charlie, S is in Sarah, A is in Adam, D as in Doug, M as in Michael, I as in Isaac,
Admin.
N as in Nancy.
Mhm. Mhm.
ACS admin at Acuity.
ACS ACS admin
Yes, at acuity.com.
at
CUNY,
Uh,
CUNY.
Acuity, ACU. Yep. All right, someone's doing it. Good job. Yeah, Justice.
oh, I think she's sharing the screen now.
Yeah.
Chris, we can also send out a debrief summary with emails and links to the recording afterwards to the waiting list, if that helps.
And
Yes, that
it's
would be
just
fantastic.
just to help clarify, it's acuitytoday.com. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so our next speaker will be Elvia Mata. Elvia, I'm going to allow you to speak. Actually, before we let Elvia in, I'm going to say it's 7:12, and we have about 46 hands raised, 46 hands that are raised. We're going to stop the webinar around 7:30, a little shortly after 7:30. I'm not going to cut anyone off from a question. So any future questions, any questions that are unanswered today, please feel free. Please reach out to the email that is on the screen, acsadmin@acuitytoday.com. All right, so Elvie, I'm going to allow you to speak.
Me?
Elvia,
Yes, Chris, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. My question is, do stocks, bonds, retirement, college savings, UGMA or UTMA accounts, do any of these accounts count towards your income?
If you are currently drawing interest from them and you're actively uh, withdrawing from those accounts.
Okay. So otherwise, if um, I guess if there is like no interest being obtained, or if there's no money being withdrawn from the accounts, then it would not count towards the income. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, and a student savings account would not be counted as income.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Elvia. All right, next speaker is Shamil Wood. Shamil, we're going to allow you to speak.
Hello.
Hi, Shamil.
Hi. So I wanted to know, I don't know if these questions were asked. However, when will the lottery take place?
So the it's so here I'll explain it this way. So the existing waiting list uh, will remain as it currently stands. Lotteries will take place whenever there is a new development that is brought into the city that has an affordable housing element to it. The next lottery that is scheduled to take place is going to be for 1404 Willow Avenue. And I believe that one is scheduled for July 31st. But again, the results of that lottery are going to be tacked onto the existing Hoboken waiting list.
Got you. Okay. And will we be like notified or anything like that? Um, because like what if our income changes? Like will we be able to update our income before that happens?
Yes. So the website, HobokenAffordableHousing.com, there is a section on there that actually says update your information. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have changed any of your household size or your income's changed, if you go to update, we will receive that information and we'll update your submission that your most recent submission that you sent to us.
Okay. Okay. I did see that. All right. Thank you. I have one last question. So it's just my child and me. Um, my income is very low. Will we qualify for a two-bedroom or a one-bedroom?
Both actually. So maximum household size for a one bedroom is two people, and minimum household size for a two bedroom is two people. So you would actually get contacted for both ones and twos.
Mm-hmm.
If a one is not going to work for your family, you can decline without penalty and wait for a two.
Got you. Okay. So will do you think I should apply for a one bedroom just to keep it safe for right now?
So the way that it works is the submission wouldn't be for a specific type of apartment. It would just be a general submission with your information, and then we would reach out to you when your name's next on the waiting list for that type of apartment. I would never tell you how to proceed with a unit. I wouldn't tell you
Okay.
take this because you're never going to get anything else because we never
Right.
know. I
Mm-hmm.
would just tell you if it doesn't work for your household, don't force yourself to do anything.
Okay. I understand. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, Chanel. All right, so our next speaker is Layla Bokum.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for hosting this session. I'm a Hoboken resident, and my question pertaining to rental, affordable unit rent calculations, if it makes sense. When it comes down to utility bills, precisely water bill, I wanted to understand if the landlord was applying those fees onto the rent, or does it have to be separate? I hope it makes sense. I can rephrase it.
Yeah, so it depends on the development. So, affordable rents are calculated and they can be different depending on what is included in the base rent. So, if your base rent that you're paying on your lease includes any type of utility, the rent itself might be a little bit higher. If you're expected to pay the utilities out of pocket directly to either the utility company or maybe the building charges everybody a water fee for the use of the water, and then they pay the utility company that way based on usage. The base rent of your unit would be lower because it takes into account that you have an additional utility bill to pay every month, so that the overall monthly expenses of rent and utilities is still affordable to your household. So it kind of depends on whichever setup you have in that building.
Okay. Given the fact that it's something that was not brought to my attention before the lease was signed, and it was those fees, I mean, currently are averaging $200 per month, it is adding to the rent in itself. And as you know, as an affordable unit tenant, it's already hard. So, is it something that should be recalculated? Because now that I'm into this lease and I can't get out of it, and I have already electric bill, which are higher for everyone. So, is this something that can be reviewed based on the fact that I was not aware of it?
We typically will try to advise upfront when you're contacted for the apartment what utilities are included in that rent and that base rent. If you want us, we can definitely talk offline if you want to email me, and I can kind
Okay.
of take a look and see the specific situation for what you're being charged for your specific location that you're at, and I can see what was supposed to and was not supposed to be included.
So we did actually, and we had exchange with 770 um, Jackson Street, and they,
Yes.
before I moved in, mentioned, "Oh, don't worry, those fees will be removed. It's currently locked into the lease. We'll review it." And a month and a half down the line, I was surprised to see that those fees were still pending. So but I understand it's probably a more specific question that does not um, probably don't have an answer, but I wanted to know from the Hoboken Housing team of what perspective they had on that aspect.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
no. Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in certain, like I mentioned, in certain buildings, you might either pay the utility directly to the utility company, or the building may charge the utility directly to the building, and then the building pays the utility. I believe in that situation, that's the type of utility that building has set up, where the building will charge the unit, I believe, based on occupants for the utility. So I believe it's water and sewer in that case. And
Yes,
that's how every tenant in that building is charged for that specific utility. It's based on the number of occupants in the unit. That's a standard throughout the building for every tenant, market, and affordable. And that would be your utility payment for that utility instead of paying, American Water directly.
I see. I see. It's just that right now I'm no longer paying an affordable um, rent rate, if it makes sense. It's more so market rent rate because now I'm paying over 1900 and some change. So it's just I'm just trying to make sense out of it, because if it was meant to serve and assist the affordable tenants, now it's becoming a burden in a sense that it's an added bill on top of PCNG bill, which average 300 and 400. I mean, it's a whole lot. So I just wanted to understand in why it was not brought to my attention before I had moved in. And meanwhile, for the first month, I was not charged those fees, and then suddenly it happened out of nowhere.
So I think, Layla, if you can connect with Mike offline, I think this
We
is,
did. We
yeah.
did. We have exchanged emails with the landlord and everything. And the landlord at some point was mentioning, "Oh, we will review those fees." And Mike had seen it as well. And then for some reason, it was set in stone that they could not do it.
Yeah, it's just this is a pretty specific instance. So I just
Yeah,
want to get to we have a few more hands up, quite a few more hands
of
up.
course, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me
Okay.
another email and we can continue for sure.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lala. All right, so gonna go to if you have a phone number, if you don't have a name on your phone number, um, actually, all right, so they may just be calling. Yeah, they're calling you. All right, so we're gonna allow 551-221-7614 the ability to speak. 551-221-7614.
Yes.
Hi, yeah, so you had your hand raised. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, hello. What is your name?
Kathleen Benjamin.
Hi, Kathleen. Did you have a question for Mike Bacosi from Acuity?
Okay. My question is about having a housing choice voucher. I have a housing choice voucher, and also I just recently was on a short list for an apartment. And I did the tour. I did everything, and it was I thought it was great at first, and I would talk to them about moving in, and they told me about the credit check and the holding fee.
Sorry, Kathleen, you're breaking up. We can't hear you.
Okay, hello.
Yes.
My phone they act up now. It was fine the whole time, and now all of a sudden that I'm on, it's not working. Hold on a second, please. I'm not on time, but this is important to me. I really had I enjoyed. I thought it was working out, and but I have the housing choice voucher. In this voucher, we have to give the landlord a 6. When I went to see this place, they told me the most they could give me was 45 days hold. And I was expected to pay the credit check and a hold fee that they said I would lose if I didn't move in at the time that they gave me to move in. And I just wanted to know, is there any way around this? Because I can't get around the 60-day notice to my landlord.
Mike, did you catch the question?
Yeah, so it was if I'm correct, you have to provide a 60-day notice to your current landlord for your current voucher, and then the unit that you're applying for is giving you 45 days to move in.
Yes, so I had to turn it down. And this is the first time I reached the short list in like 6 years. So I was really disappointed. But, I can't do anything. According to the housing, I have to give my landlord a 60-day notice. And I can't take an affordable housing unit while I have a lease already with a Section 8, So I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, and I'm trying to find out what actually could be done, if anything.
Yeah, I think I believe I was working with you, so I can definitely talk to you more offline too, because I don't want to talk your specifics on the webinar. But
No,
there are
I can get in touch with you, but I've never talked to you before because this is the closest I've gotten. I actually, actually, I think you did send me an email, you and I think Isabel, and I went and I responded to it and I looked at an apartment, and yeah, so I'll contact you and I'll send the email so we can, I can kind of fill you in because, they told me if I come up again, but I'll still have the same problem. If my name come up again, I'm still going to be caught that I got to give 60 days. So I'll just contact you, and I really appreciated this webinar was very informative, and I thank you guys very much for the patience you exuded for everyone.
Thank you, Kathleen.
no problem, Kathleen. Send me an email and we'll talk more.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
You too.
All right, so it is now 7:28. We're gonna take one more question, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up. And I'm sorry for everyone that's had their hands raised, and there's still 44 people somehow. It's just constantly over 40 people with their hands raised. So yeah, we're gonna take one last question, and then we're going to move on and wrap things up. But so this is Beth Hawkins. Beth Hawkins, I'm gonna allow you to speak. Beth.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep. Good evening. We can hear you.
Great. So my question was, or is, if you have been notified that you are on the short list, how long does it normally take for you to be placed or accept, even get to the process where you're going to see the unit?
Yeah, so good question. So if you are the top of the short list, if you're number one, it's pretty much immediate. You'll be referred to the landlord, and then you'll fill out the credit background check and take the tour. If you are, then one of the next couple people, it's a little bit difficult to say because at that point it depends on how long it takes for that process for number one to kind of work its way out. So it depends on how long it takes for that person's credit background check to work out, how long it takes for them to schedule a tour, and whether or not they get approved and move in. I would say it's impossible because every situation is a little bit different. Probably account for maybe a week or two per person, just as a rule of thumb. If you don't hear anything, by that timeline, you're always welcome to reach out and you could check in to see if the unit's been filled, and we can kind of give you an update of if it has been or if you're still active on that short list.
Okay, and if how do I know how many units are available and at a certain if I'm on this short list, is there a way that I can know how many units are available at this this apartment that that I'm on the list for?
Yes. So the very first email that you get, that one with the 2-day deadline, we're going to provide information about how many apartments are available as well. So we would say if there's more than one, we would typically label it as the unit type. So we would say 770 house, 2-bedroom, moderate income apartment, and then more in the the main text of that email, we would say 3 apartments currently available. If it has a specific address, like 770 House Unit 721, that's a good indication that there's only one.
Okay. Okay, and how where do would I go to if I wanted to check the waiting list to see where I'm at on the waiting list? Would I just go to the Hoboken Affordable Housing.com website and be able to check there?
I think for no, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you can email Mike at acsadmin@acuitytoday.com.
Okay. Okay. I will give you a shoot you an email, Mike, because I have been speaking with Isabel as well. But I just felt like I didn't get enough I'm not getting any information. I'm just like in the dark.
Yeah, sure. Shoot us an email and I'll definitely get in touch with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, and thank you, Beth. Appreciate your question. Have a good rest of the night.
Thank you, you as well.
All right, so we have 300, now we're at 327 people. 37 hands were raised. We have 266 open questions on the question and answer panel. Peter did the yeoman's job, yeoman's work, answered 33 of them in the span that we were on this call. All of this to say we need more affordable housing in this region. I mean, that's really what this comes down to. But I really want to thank our administrative agents, our professionals from Acuity Consulting Services, Mike Picosi and Peter Van Coy, for being here with us tonight and answering all of your questions. The website, their email address is here on the screen, acsadmin@acuitytoday.com. Please, any further questions, everyone with their hands raised, please email Mike and Peter at this email address. We're going to this webinar is being recorded. As soon as it's ready, we will put it on the city's YouTube channel. The City of Hoboken has a YouTube channel, so it's being recorded and it will be placed sometime within the next 48 hours or so. But yeah, this is I'm glad so many of you can join today, and glad that this can be an informative session for everyone. And so Mike and Peter, I don't know, do you guys have any? And also I also want to thank my colleagues, Jess Georgiani and Casey Wolf, for being on here as well. Mike and Peter, do you have any last comments, thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone's time, and echoing what Chris said, there's absolutely a need for more affordable housing. So I guess, and I also appreciate all the questions. So definitely feel free to email us at acsadmin@acuitytoday.com, and we're going to review the open questions as well. So we'll see if there's quite a few there. I'm noticing some fall into the same category, so we'll see if we can get responses back to everyone, maybe by topic or whatever is necessary. But we'll make sure that we are responsive to all of them. Mike, anything additional?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for having us, Chris. And yeah, just sounds like we got a couple questions left. So just give us a couple days. I'll make sure we get back to everybody if your question wasn't answered.
All right. And we have a recording. So everyone's questions are saved in a log. As soon as we close out the webinar, it's generated. So we'll like my computer said, we'll get back to you all. All right. Thank you. With that said, have a good rest of the evening, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks all.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Too.